deadlift and how to deadlift. So, deadlift is a really good lift for explosiveness because you're pulling something and it's just going to work on a lot of your lower body, especially your hamstrings. And that it can help you in return produce power in your sport and make you more explosive. So,
okay. So some safety for the deadlift. Here we have boxes, and we have boxes because the floor probably isn't padded enough. So you don't want to drop just regular weights on the floor. That's why these boxes are here. Another thing to be mindful of is what type of plates you're using. These are rubber, so that's fine to drop them. But if it was like a, let's say like a, yeah, like a metal plate or something, you don't really want to drop those as much. So just be mindful of what type of plate you're using. You don't really want to be dropping a deadlift that much unless it's like super heavy. So you want to be controlling it on the way down. Another thing to be mindful of is always having a flat back. So starting off with like a bumper plate of some kind is always useful because
should you wear Crocs when you deadlift?
When you're starting, even if it's a really low weight.
And another thing, just like kind of everywhere else in the weight room, you want to make sure you have proper attire on. So something that you can move freely in, so mostly shorts, maybe even sweatpants. A t-shirt, you just don't want to have like stiff pants like jeans or dress pants or anything like that. And then shoes wise, you want to make sure you have tennis shoes or any sort of like flat soled shoes. That especially helps with deadlifts and really any leg movement, just because then you can feel more almost ground, like you feel yourself more on the ground, which can help you with your lift. So you just want to make sure you're avoiding like, obviously never work out in heels or even like dress shoes, something with like elevation at the back. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and get right into it too. Another thing also, you want to make sure you have clips on your deadlift. This is important because if you were to pull one side a little bit faster than the other one, the weight could then slide off. And if you're doing a lot of heavy weight, like say you have 2 plates or 3 plates on there, if one of those plates starts sliding, the rest of them are going to slide too, and then that can injure you, or they can bounce and go around your area, which in turn can injure someone or break something. So you just want to make sure you're always clipping up, no matter how much weight you're doing on these. If there's weight on it, clip it. So yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do it.
All right, so to start off, we're gonna first start with grip because that's one of the most important things, but also is the downward when you're going to pick up the bar. It's the same as a squat movement, so you're gonna go hips back, back straight. You wanna be looking forward. You don't wanna be looking down because then naturally your back's gonna start to bend. So looking forward, so you're gonna bend down at the hips, straight down, and then you're gonna get to where you're gonna be gripping the bar. There's 3 different types of grips. There's split hands like this, split hands like this, or just straight forward. You don't want to be gripping it like this. So just pick whatever feels most comfortable for you, and then we'll just get into the lift part of it.
Yeah, another thing too is when you're stepping up to it, where your feet want to be, you want to have your feet with the insides of your feet with your shoulders, so a little bit narrower than if you were squatting. Squatting, you'd have your feet just a tiny bit wider. There is a deadlift called the sumo deadlift. We won't be using that in weight training, especially when we're trying to lift to get more athletic. That is more for competition, more competition. People use that because when your feet are wider out, you have a much shorter length to pull. So in turn, you can pull more weight. So bodybuilders and lifters like to use that and say they pull a lot of weight. It's not as beneficial to you, and we're lifting for the physical benefits that are gonna help us in sport. So you want to make sure that your feet are inside.
And it's not allowed in Olympic lifting.
Then we're gonna hinge the hips, come down. I personally use one grip, one hand over, my right hand under. That's just my personal choice. That's one of the 3 grips I choose to do. So you're gonna hinge, go down, and Zach's gonna walk me through what to do next.
All right, so the bar, when it's coming up, you want it to travel along your shins. If you watch really good deadlifters, usually they have chalk on their shins because they are dragging the bar against their shins because you want to use the least amount of energy possible. So you want it as close as possible to the shins when it's coming up. So when you're lifting it up, it's going to be straight back, straight up, and then just at the top. You don't want to like overextend. You don't want to be shrugging the bar at the top. You just want to be up to the top.
And then another thing, once you get to the top of your lift, like Zach said earlier, you never want to drop the weight. Dropping the weight can damage even these pads that we're on or the weights or anything. And if someone were to happen to leave a phone somewhere nearby, especially with bumper plates, if you drop this, it could move, like the entire bar can move left or right a little bit just because that's kind of what they're made to do. They're rubber, so they're gonna move a little bit, which in turn can break something or damage something. So you wanna make sure you're controlling the weight all the way down. If you can't control it, good chances you shouldn't be even attempting to lift that anyway. So we're gonna do basically just what we did to get up here. We're just gonna go back down.
All right, and then another key thing about deadlift, it is a lift that you cannot spot. So you do not want to be standing right next to someone that's doing deadlift. You don't want to be trying to spot them or anything because it can't be spotted, and you don't want to be in the way of the bar if it's falling or, you know.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of just you're lifting the weight. It's kind of a free weight movement. There's no, if it were to be too heavy, you would just realize that you're not going to get it up, bring it back down, and that would be a time when it's maybe okay to drop it too if it's a lot heavy, if you didn't get it all the way up, because then you're not dropping nearly as long as the distance, so it's way less likely to damage something. But so we're gonna go over how to progress from rep to rep. So we showed you how to do 1 rep. So if you were to get into it, do your first rep, you're gonna come up, you're gonna go back down, and you wanna take, if you were to somehow get unadjusted or change your positioning in the lift, you wanna make sure you're getting readjusted. It doesn't have to be like bang, 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 super quick, okay? You wanna make sure that every rep is a good rep, so that way you can avoid injury. So, you come up, do it, you go back down, make sure you're back, and if you go back down and you're just right in a good position, you can just go ahead and go back up again, and you keep going for as many reps as the lift calls for, which usually, for deadlift, you wanna make sure when you get up to your working weight, it's usually around like 3 to 6 reps because you are lifting for power. You're not exactly lifting for like making your physique look better with this lift. This is more of like a power, gonna help you be more athletic lift. So you're gonna stay in that 3 to 6 rep range, probably 3 to 4 or 5 sets. So
Great. Another thing is that you want to engage your core.
yes.
You don't, so that then your back is also being supported. If you get into heavier weights, you might want a belt because that would help you support your core and protect your back.
Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and go on to our auxiliary lifts now. If you want to follow me over here, I'm gonna be doing seated hamstring curls. There's also a really popular hamstring workout is the like lying down hamstring curls, which would be a machine somewhat like this. This would be down here, and this would still be right here, and you'd be laying down and curling towards you, but we don't have that here, so we're gonna do seated. So, set this up. You wanna sit down, and it's just kind of, this back right here is adjustable, and you wanna make sure that when you're doing the lift, your back is straight. So, and you want your, kind of like quad extensions, you want your, like the crease right here of your knee to be just hanging right over the seat. So like for me, that would be good. And then you want this thing, this is what you're gonna be using to do the workout. You want this to be as far up as it can go. So right there, and then it's gonna look like this. So usually you want your, just right above like the back of your shoe is right where you want to be sitting on this pad right here. And you just want to be set up just like this. And then you're gonna move this down to where it is resting on your quads. And then this is gonna keep you nice and tight in the machine while you're doing the lift. And then all you're gonna do is you're gonna go from having your leg extended to bringing them down as far as you can go. And then you can go back up and down. Okay, and you want to